Hi everybody, I'm now back from my coma and just in time for my favorite time of the year, and that is the time of year where I love to curl up on my sofa and watch an onslaught of two-dimensional, generic, but mostly hilarious bad movies. Which is actually every time of the year. Whether it's for having a good time with friends or watching them alone in an attempt to clog the flow of blood draining from my heart, I just always find myself gravitating way too heavily to movies that I know aren't actually good, but I can't help but enjoy. This has gone on to a point where I can probably say I've seen more bad movies than I have actually good movies. But there's a certain category of bad movies that is sort of ranked up there with breathing and eating as the most important things in my life. These pinnacles of human accomplishment are DCOMs, which stands for Disney Channel Original Movies. All these movies have a very common theme going for them. With very few exceptions, they all take place in a sort of coming-of-age environment, where the kids either have some sort of supernatural encounter, lovey, gushy, kissy goodness that is for girls, or some other easy, tropey storyline. These films contain a mixture of nostalgia and ridiculous exaggerations and interpretations of teen life that makes them enjoyable to watch for all the wrong reasons. Some can have just the right blend of ridiculous characters and laughable plot devices to become the perfect parody of themselves, while others can be maddeningly bland and lazy to a point where it almost feels like these movies were intended for little girls. Oh wait. Either way, these films have been watched and enjoyed by me and my friends for what feels like years now, leading to a plethora of jokes, both small and ambitious.
No! Give the plane!
Upon Disney's recent celebration of their 100th DCOM, the eventful and much requested Adventures in Babysitting. It's okay, I wouldn't want Lemonade Mouth too anyways, just don't mind me. I realized how little DCOMs I've actually seen. At the time of the celebration, I could count the number of DCOMs I've seen on my 3 hands. This feeling of being an inadequate DCOMite, combined with me reminding myself of my hand deformity, caused me to spiral into a deep depression. But because I can't pirate Xanax, I thought the best way to treat my sadness was to sit down and watch every single DCOM ever created in order of their release. I was having second thoughts on this because I didn't want to start with a lot of the really bad 90s DCOMs that aren't even substantial, but here at Sean Wallahan Incorporated, we stand for equal rights of all Disney Channel original movies. Although, there are a few DCOMs made in the early 80s before DCOMs were a trend that I will skip because no. Fucking no, dude. Please, I can't. By the time I make it to the most recent DCOM, I hope to do a retrospective with all my favorites and least favorites, but you know me and committing to projects and whatnot. Another advantage to starting this marathon off chronologically is being able to kick it off with the incredibly substantial DCOM, Under Wraps. Jesus, man, this movie's so fucking boring. I think a movie of this caliber deserves a bit of context to go with it. In the early 90s, old Walt and Mickey up in Disney Towers decided to have a race as to which of them could make the most bland and lazy live-action movies before the decade was over. I don't know who won, but it was certainly none of us. How I Blew Up the Kids, Blank Check, A Kid in King Arthur's Court, First Kid, Mr. Magoo, Inspector Gadget, and my favorite, Jungle to Jungle, starring Tim Allen raising a jungle boy in New York City. But I think I'm biased with that because the Brave Little Abacus named one of their EPs after a character in that movie. I mean, you got a problem with that? I'm not gonna judge them, it's a good EP. But yeah, Disney didn't necessarily exclusively make all of their live-action films terrible, but it wasn't a fair ratio of good films to bad films, and this film only furthers that imbalance. So basically, this film is like a garbage disposal of every single 90s kid film cliche. Imagine if E.T., Monster Squad, and Stale Bread all stood around awkwardly in the corner of a party and just sort of exchanged small talk for a while because they shared very little common ground, but none of them knew how to end the conversation. This film emulates what that would feel like. So in this movie, we got 3 kids. Our main character is Marshall. He's the hip, edgy one. His mother is divorced and he's having trouble finding the purpose of love.
You ever been in love? Probably so. People probably got married forever in your day. But now love doesn't seem to mean much anymore. Most of my friends' parents are either divorced or they hate each other. I mean, what's the point, right?
But luckily, he has horror films and a decked out horror-themed room as an escape from it all. Son, I think we should really talk about me starting to date again. Mom, get out! I told you to heed my warning of coming in the chasm of blood and terror or suffer the curse of Shog! Also, I kinda think he's using some eyelash volume mascara. I mean, I'm totally okay with it either way, it's just like there's definitely something going on there. And then we have Amy, the essential gal pal character. She's a bitch.
Hey, Amy.
I'm busy, Todd.
Well, I know, but I was just...
Todd.
Well, I was just wondering if
Don't make me hurt you, Todd.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
He's got a big crush on me, but it's definitely not going to happen.
Then we have Gilbert, who is Carl Wheezer. Wait a minute. Analyze that picture. Oh my god, it's just Monster House! Dan Harmon, I never should have trusted you! I was wrong to ever think I could enjoy anything you've ever done. Our story begins with our gang obsessing over the only thing every kid wants to talk about all the time, which is obviously this creepy old man who lives in a gross-ass house on the corner of the street.
I heard it's full of weird stuff. Your house is full of weird stuff.
Luckily, one day, the old man kicks the bucket, so the gang can disrespect the dead and go looting through his shit. And even though they went for money, they stayed for mummy. The mummy. Because Gilbert is a retard, he ends up knocking open the sarcophagus, and the mummy's corpse is revealed in the moonlight, awaking him. I tried to see if this was an actual thing that goes with mummies, and nope. But hey, mummies are subjective. The kids end up running into the mummy and then running around like little fucking babies. But wait, you guys. This mummy has feelings and we gotta get him out of here before the house is leased. But don't let Mom find out. I don't wanna get grounded. But what do we do with the mummy? Asked Carl Wheezer. Luckily, adult friend who hangs out with children that would never fly in real life is here with the one thing he's written for. Furthering the plot.
The spirit of the mummy may be freed by the purity of the full moon and lucid to walk the earth. But if he does not return to his tomb by midnight of that most evil of nights, he will dissolve into a pillar of dust and his soul will be lost forever!
So now it's up to Marshall and his patrol to save the mummy and get him back to his tomb. But not after some wacky hijinks, cause after all, mummy rhymes with funny for a reason. This time, the writers pull out all the stops. The mummy being mistaken for other things, the mummy trying to comprehend modern day commodities, the mummy walking around at a Halloween party, that's a classic, people needing to just turn around to see there's a fucking mummy there, and the voice actor for Patrick Star moaning. A lot of moaning. I just have so little to actually say about this movie. I mean, it's so uniform and so safe that I am completely unaffected by everything that happens in it. Also, mummies are like the least cool monster out of all the archetypical Halloween monsters, so it doesn't help much.
That's a mummy! Cool!
I don't know what this kid's talking about. It's all about Frankenstein. There's a few twists and turns, well, a twist and turn, but it doesn't feel engaging at all. This movie is just so flat and lifeless. Much like the girl mummy, heyo! And the dialogue isn't even laughable or anything. I already showed you anything anyone said that might be funny, and that only took like a minute. It wasn't even really like draining. It just did what it had to and didn't really make a note of trying to do something significant. If it weren't writing and editing a review of this film, I would have forgot it in a heartbeat. But no, I'm stuck here trying to have points to make about Under Wraps. Emphasis on trying. Ugh, I don't know. Should I give it a star rating? I don't know. 2 out of 5? Who cares? It's fucking Under Wraps. I'm done.
You ever had sex with a pharaoh? I put the pussy in a sarcophagus.
Oh wow, you guys! Thanks for stopping by the Friendly Bison abode. I have a website where that I use with a bunch of my art and music reviews and hooray. And I also have my friend's channel where I post like podcasts and the like. I don't know. It's God. Alright, bye.